Right, next video in the series, video number 2. Video series entitled Landlords, Don't Worry, Be Happy. Just to remind you why we're making it. Speaking to lots of landlords at the moment, and they're worried about all sorts of things, and honestly I don't think they need to be. I think there's an answer for everything, and some of the answers are actually is a positive, is an upward thing, not a negative thing. It's like, you know, when we fix this, or when we implement the answer to this, which isn't particularly hard, it's not rocket science, let's do it, you're going to have a benefit rather than it being a net loss. So you don't need to be worried, be happy. Recording it in the garden, and it's been a lovely sunny day. I'm certainly not worried, I'm happy. Today we're going to talk about the Rental Reform Whitepaper. It was in the news recently. We got emails from landlords, we replied back to as many as we can, but this is the video that's going to put the our thoughts in there formally, if you like, and be a lot of the answers for you guys. It's like we talk about the potential loss of Section 21, the no fault evictions, those kind of things. So that's the I'll put a link to the Rental Reform White Paper in the description of the video if you want to read it. So who has read it? Yeah, that's the first question. I have. I've got pages and pages of notes of it. I've sat through about 2 days of presentations of this, all the ins and outs, CPD stuff, that kind of things. I've got a view on it, and as a business we have too. So just to sort of summarise, there's some minorish changes in there, but the big one would be the loss of the no fault eviction. That's the thing that sort of grabbed the headlines. Section 21, not allowed to discriminate against those on benefits and others, and tenancy is periodic from day one. That'll be another one that's sort of in there. Generally tighter links between compliance and the ability to enforce eviction clauses. There's some very specific references to the HHSRS, Housing Health and Safety Rating System. If you don't know about that, read that. That's an interesting one. I'm quite confident in saying that none of these changes are going to make a big difference to my business or the majority of our landlords. So that's the first thing to get out of the way, isn't it? I suspect that for me and for most of our landlords, it'll actually be a positive thing, and I'll talk about that and as to why in a minute. If you believe the media, it's another example of landlord bashing. And I do have conversations with the landlords, so the rest of the team, who they're scared of it. They've read they've read a newspaper article without fully understanding it, without having read the actual paper itself. They've just taken it verbatim from a newspaper article saying landlords are going to get bashed. Essentially, they saw a clickbait article somewhere, headline somewhere, read it, believed it. It's only a white paper. There's lots of ideas floated around there. Lots of them just aren't workable as you read it, and that's the idea of a white paper, isn't it? You sort of float some big ideas that grab a headline, knowing that it will get scaled back or reduced down, goes through Parliament and gets fleshed out properly. For example, I heard a comment on portable deposits, and initially it sounded like a crazy idea, the idea that tenants can port their deposits from one to another, because of course the whole idea of a deposit is you've got to be able to deduct it. And how would they do it? They'd move out on the morning. We can't process it and deduct the claim before they want to move in the afternoon, and the tenant, the landlord of property number 2 can't let them move in until that's all done and dusted. It sounded crazy, and I saw an article about how was this going to be workable, and then somebody piped up and said, I think the proposal is an insurance policy to cover for the gap. The tenant would pay it, etc., etc. So that sounds quite sensible, actually. That would work. Now, if it comes to fruition or not, who knows? But it's an example of how something that initially sounds crazy and would cause a landlord to overreact and get all doom and gloom and be unhappy. If they take away from that headline, you don't need to be, do you? There's usually something sensible and level-headed behind it. I don't believe that the governments in the the business have put into. They can't. It goes through lots of different places. It's cross-party tested. The government isn't made up of idiots. There might be some idiots there. I really don't believe that they want to bash landlords. I think they just want to tighten up the private rented sector and professionalise it, and I'm on board with that. Don't run an economy business, run a good quality business. Is where the profits are. Make a good job of things. Definitely there's some idiots, there's some bad ideas in there, of course, but there's also a very good process to make sure that laws are by and large sensible and workable, and I believe that's what would come through. Broadly, there's two themes to the paper. One is better homes, giving tenants a decent and safe home, and the other is giving tenants stability. I think that's great. A bad property is hassle and liability. I don't want one, so I'm down with making a house a decent and safe home. I believe the tenants deserve it, and as a landlord, it's the only kind of property I want to run, not just because I'm a nice guy, but it's the most profitable way to run it. Everything else is just hassle and that downward spiral that we try and avoid. A good property makes good income. It pays for its own upkeep, pays for its own management. It keeps its value going up, and you can periodically access that value through refinances if you want to. It's the only way to do it. I'm going to read directly from the report, actually, the executive summary on those 2 points. So first of all, landlords providing decent and safe homes. The white paper says, most private landlords take their responsibility seriously, providing housing of a reasonable standard and treat their tenants fairly. However, it's wrong that in the 21st century, a fifth of private tenants in England are spending a third of their income on housing that is non-decent. That's category 1 hazards, those that present the highest risk of serious harm or death exist in 12% of properties, posing an immediate risk to tenants' health and safety. I go with that. I can see it. Lots of landlords aren't taking their responsibilities seriously. I am. Hopefully you are. If you're one of our landlords, you are. I know that. It's the best way to be, and tenants deserve to. That's people, families with kids. They deserve to live in a decent, safe home. I'm not just saying that because it's, I'm a decent guy. Hopefully I am, but also it's the best way to run a property. And, that category 1 hazard, if you don't fix it, not only is it not decent and safe for the tenant, and it could cause you a problem, it's hassle, isn't it? Fix it, charge a higher rent, do everything nicely, do it properly. The tenant will look after the place. Just run a premium business. Just the extra 10% on top keeps everything spinning and smoothly nicely. So this next bit is about housing. I'd go with that. Great. That doesn't sound crazy to me at all. And then the other theme in there is providing security of tenure to tenants. Giving tenants stability in their lives. And here we go. Reading directly from the prospect of being evicted without reason at 2 months' notice, the so-called no-fault Section 21 evictions, can leave tenants feeling anxious and reluctant to challenge poor practice. Families worry about moves that do not align to school terms, and tenants feel they cannot put roots down in their communities or hold down stable employment. Children in insecure housing experience worse educational outcomes, reduced levels of teacher commitment, and more disrupted friendship groups than any other children. I can't argue with that either. I wholeheartedly agree with that. I want to provide decent and safe homes and stability for my tenants. All my properties are decent and safe already. I've got nothing to fear, and my tenants can stay in them as long as they want, as long as they pay the rent, look after the house. They can stay in there for the next 10, 20, 30 years. I'm not selling. Losing Section 21, there is a precedent in Scotland. We see what happened there, and the reality is not a lot. We'd have beefed up Section 8. It's getting a bit technical, but basically it's a bit of semantics in there. One thing goes, but it kind of comes back in a different way. There's already some sensible suggestions to the amendment, sensible amendments to the bill that have been suggested. Nobody is suggesting that it's going to be harder to evict a non-paying tenant or a tenant that's not looking after the property. It's already, the landlords that are worried about this are already the landlords that are struggling to get rid of tenants, and they're not doing it because not struggling for lack of the law. They're struggling because they're not organised and they don't know what they're doing when it comes to enforcing the clauses that they've already got. Or maybe their houses aren't decent and safe homes, and getting rid of a tenant that's living in a property that you've kept in a non-decent and safe way is hard work, because tenants have under the obligation to keep a decent and safe home, and if you don't, you can't enforce eviction, and you can't moan about that. Just get your house decent and safe. So why did I say I suspect it will be a positive thing for me and for you as landlords? You know, why, when speaking to landlords, we're saying don't worry, be happy. I'm going to get behind these ideas and promote them. In fact, actually, we've got forthelandlords.com. That's where you probably heard about and found us. Of course, we've got houses to rent, and they don't go on forthelandlords.com. Go on our forthelandlords.com website. There's no houses to rent. They're on fortherenters.com. Makes sense, huh? It means that renters can find us easily. I've made the decision, and we put the first bits together. We're going to order the front page of the website changed on fortherenters.com in the next couple of weeks. Look back at it, sort of towards the end of the year, and you'll see it's changed. We're citing things like professional management, long-term tenancy, decent and safe homes for renters. It's all brilliant. It's not lip service. We do that. So let's shout about it. A bad property is hassle and liability. A good property makes good income, pays for its own upkeep, and goes up in value. So let's get behind this. We're doing it already. Let's embrace it wholeheartedly. Because the second reason is, and this is why it will be good for you and good for me, this is another ratchet movement. I seem to be going off the screen somewhere. This is another ratchet movement in the professionalisation of the business of being a landlord. And let's go with it. I'm committed to professionalising. I hope you are too, because having a well-run, well-managed, profitable property portfolio, makes money for you while you are awake. Never mind while you sleep. It's the stuff of dreams. It's what you're aiming for, and it depends on you embracing this. Those who aren't embracing it, watching videos like this, they're in that negative spiral, not the upward spiral. They're not going to get the advantage of it. Economy businesses, cheap bottom feeder businesses, are hard work and unprofitable. Professionalise. So that's the end of that little comment on the white paper. I don't see any problems in it at all. I don't see any changes. We're already pretty decent, pretty safe. We offer security tenure. We're just going to shout about it more and attract better tenants, paying higher rents, and reap the rewards of running a professional, high quality business. If you want to talk through any of those subjects, we run a discovery call. It's on Zoom, it's free, and we do it almost every Wednesday. If you go to our website, you can book on it, you can book your own slot. There's a diary, you can pick your slot, and you get the email through to confirm with the Zoom link. I'll put a link, book a discovery call, in the description of this video, and it will take you to that page. If you're a landlord client of us already, you're welcome on that call if you want to talk through some of these things. If you're a landlord who isn't a client of ours and you want to bring a property portfolio over to us, we'll optimise it. If you need any kind of rescue service, we do a tenancy rescue where we'll fix any tenancy issue, an arrears rescue where we'll fix arrears, and a property rescue where we'll go in and fix the fabric of the building. So paperwork, arrears, or the fabric of the building. We can any one or two or three of those. So if you're a landlord with those kind of problems, book on a discovery call, hear about how we can do those, and sort your landlording life out. That's it from me. I'm going to sit here this afternoon and keep recording these. Hopefully that was useful. If you want to talk about it some more, book on a discovery call. See you in the next video. Bye for now.